Hello students, welcome to APG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sanjeev Sharma from Government College, Nadon, Himachal Pradesh. Today we are going to talk on module form of balance sheet of companies from paper Accounting and Financial Analysis. By studying this module, students will able to gain clarity on the Companies Act 2013 and the final accounts that the companies need to prepare under the Act. New provisions added by the Companies Act 2013 which need to be followed by the company. The general instructions while preparing balance sheet and interpretation of balance sheet. In a financial year, a company is involved in many monetary transactions with different parties, leading to development of cash flows, profit generation, and capital expansion, etc. All this needs to be recorded from time to time and presented at the end of the financial year in the form of final accounts. The provisions for preparation of final accounts was earlier given under Companies Act 1956. But with the recent amendment in the Act and incorporation of new Act, Companies Act 2013, companies follow this new Act to prepare the accounts. Companies Act 2013 has replaced the Companies Act 1956 after receiving the assent of President of India and came into force on 12 September 2013. It is an act of parliament which regulates incorporation of company, responsibility of its directors and shareholders, presentation of final accounts and its dissolution, etc. The Act 2013 is divided into 29 chapters containing 470 sections. The Companies Act 2013 have laid down certain changes like earlier private companies maximum members were 50 but now it has been raised to 200. Unlike previously, now companies need to keep a record of accounts in electronic form as well as a new concept of one person company and consolidated financial statement has also been included in the Act. Now, financial statements as per Companies Act 2013. The financial statements is the record of the company's transaction throughout the year. It comprises of a set of accounts that needs to be presented at the end of the financial year for the use of internal as well as external users. Section 128 to 138 under Chapter 9 of the Companies Act 2013 deal with preparation of accounts of companies. Section 2, subsection 40 of the Companies Act 2013 has defined financial statement for the very first time. Section 2, subsection 41 of the Companies Act 2013 defines financial year in relation to any company as the period ending on 31st day of the March every year. Now the financial year can only be from April to March. The financial statement shall be prepared in the form as provided by Schedule 3rd. It shall be laid in the annual general meeting within 6 months from the end of the financial year. As per Section 143 of Companies Act 2013, the financial statement shall be signed by chairperson of the company if authorized by board. 2 directors, out of which 1 shall be managing director. However, in case of 1-person company, only 1 director is required. Now, what are the different types of financial statements? According to Section 2, subsection 40 of Companies Act, financial statement in relation to a company includes a balance sheet, a profit and loss account, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity if applicable, and any explanatory note. Types of financial statements are revealed in the present figure. The figure shows that companies are required to prepare a balance sheet, a profit and loss account, cash flow statement, a statement of changes in equity, and any explanatory note according to Companies Act 2013. balance sheet. Balance sheet, also known as position statement. It is a statement which highlights the financial position of the enterprise. It depicts the position of assets and liabilities of the firm by recording them. According to Palmer, the balance sheet is a statement at a particular date showing on the one side the trader's properties and positions, and on the other side the liabilities. Preparing a balance sheet serves purposes such as disclosing financial position. The financial position is revealed at the end of the year by preparing the balance sheet. Assets and liabilities. The assets and liabilities are presented in elaborated manner with the help of balance sheet. Solvency position. The solvency position of the concern can be judged easily with the help of balance sheet. Opening entries. The opening entries of the next financial year depends upon the figures from the previous year balance sheet. Now, it is important to understand the various general guidelines which are used for preparation of balance sheet. And balance sheet is a statement of assets, liabilities, and capital of an organization. As per Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013, balance sheet is prepared by the companies. Present figure makes clear that balance sheet is a statement which includes assets, and the second thing is, first is assets, second thing is liabilities and capital of an organization. Further, according to Companies Act 2013, balance sheet should be prepared by the companies as per Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013. Now let us understand the meaning of Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013. The Schedule 3rd to the Companies Act 2013 deals with the form of balance sheet and the statement of profit and loss and classified disclosure to be made therein. And it applies uniformity to all companies registered under Companies Act. It prescribes form for preparation of financial statements or final accounts of the accounting year, that is 1st April to 31st March. Now, division of Schedule of the Companies Act 2013. The Schedule of Companies Act 2013 is divided into two parts. First part is related with company's balance sheet or position statement, and the second part is related with company's statement of profit and loss. Division of Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013 is given in this slide, and it is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is related with company's balance sheet, and part 2 of Schedule 2013 Act is related with company's statement of profit and loss. Format of balance sheet as per Schedule 3rd to the Companies Act 2013, applicable for the financial year commencing on or after 1st April 2011, is given here. The balance sheet is divided into two parts, and the first part is equity and liabilities. There are four heads in this part. The first is shareholder funds, share application money pending allotment, non-current liabilities, and current liabilities are the last head. Shareholder funds include share capital, reserve and surplus, money received against share grant. Non-current liabilities include long-term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities, other long-term liabilities, long-term provisions. And current liabilities include short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities, and short-term provisions. Further, it is necessary that amount of current year along with amount of previous year should be disclosed in this balance sheet. As per format, the second part is related with assets, and assets are divided into two heads. The first is non-current assets and second is current assets. Non-current assets include fixed assets, non-current investments, deferred tax assets, long-term loans and advances, other non-current assets, whereas current assets include current investments, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. Detailed description of equity and liabilities item of the balance sheet is given in present figure. It is clear from the figure that the equity and liability is the first part of the balance sheet and it is divided into four heads. The first head is shareholder funds, second is share application money pending allotment, third is non-current liabilities, and the last is current liabilities. Shareholder funds is the first head of the equity and liabilities. It is further divided into three heads. The first or A is share capital, B is reserve and surplus, and C is money received against share warrants. So, shareholder funds is an important head and it is also divided into three parts. Share capital. Share capital of company means arranging the funds from its operations. Company issues its share to raise capital. The financial treatment related to share capital is grouped under various sections. Section 49 states that call on shares of the same class should be made on uniform basis. Section 50 allows the company to accept from any member the whole or part amount remaining unpaid on his share, even if company has not called up the amount. Under Section 51, a company may pay dividend in proportion to the amount paid up in each share. Section 52 states that when a company receives premium on share issued at premium, a sum equal to that aggregate amount shall be transferred to security premium account. Section 53 lies down that company cannot issue shares at discount, and any share issued at discount shall be treated as void. If a company violated the section, it shall be punishable with a fine not less than 1 lakh rupees or imprisonment. Any company can issue sweet equity shares under Section 54 if fulfills the conditions such as special resolution should be passed by the company before issuing the sweet equity shares. The resolution must specify the number of shares, current market price, class of director to whom such shares are issued. Not less than 1 year has passed since the date of the issue, since the company has started the business. Regulations laid down by SEBI shall be followed by listed companies and rules by MCA by others. Section 55 states that no company limited by share is allowed to reissue irredeemable preference share. All such shares shall be redeemable within a period not exceeding 20 years from the issue date. Reserve and surplus. Reserve and surplus are the balance that is kept aside out of the profit and retained back with the company for future use. Reserve and surplus shall be classified as capital reserve, capital redemption reserve, debenture redemption reserve, revaluation reserve, securities premium reserve, share options, outstanding account, surplus, other reserves. Money received against share warrants. A share warrant is a financial instrument which gives the holder the right to acquire equity shares. A disclosure of the money received against share warrant is to be made since shares are yet to be allotted against the share warrants. These are not shown as a part of share capital but to be shown as a separate line items. share application money pending allotment. If company has issued share but date of allotment falls after the balance sheet date, such application money pending allotment will be shown in the following manner. Share application money not exceeding issued capital and to extent not refundable is to be disclosed under this line item. Share application money to the extent refundable or where minimum subscription is not met, such amount shall be shown separately under subhead Other Current Liabilities. Non-current liabilities or long-term liabilities. Non-current liabilities mean which are due after 12 months. In other words, non-current liability is a liability which is not classified as current liability. It shall include the following. Non-current liabilities are shown with the help of present figure and it is divided into four parts. The first is long-term borrowing, second is deferred tax liabilities, third is other long-term liabilities, and the fourth is long-term provisions. Long-term borrowings. Sometimes companies borrow funds from outside the business for long-term investments for a longer period of time. The amount so borrowed is termed as long-term borrowings. Long-term borrowings shall include bonds, debentures, term loan from banks or other parties, deferred payment liabilities, and loans and advances from related parties. Borrowings shall further be classified into secured and unsecured and disclosed separately. Bonds, debentures shall be stated in descending order of maturity or conversion along with the rate of interest and particular of redemption. Any redeemed debenture that the company can reissue shall be disclosed. Deferred tax liability, net, other long-term liabilities, trade payables on account of purchase of fixed asset on credit and other interest accrued thereon. Other examples are premium payable on redemption of debentures, premium payable on redemption of preference shares. These are the other long-term liabilities and shown under the head non-current liabilities. Any provision which is expected to mature after more than 12 months is classified as long-term provision. Long-term provisions include provision for employee benefit such as provident fund scheme, insurance, pension and other similar staff benefit scheme, provision for guarantees, others, for example, employees earned leave payable on retirement, etc. All these are included in long-term provisions. These are the provisions which mature or are expected to mature after more than 12 months. Now, fourth head under the liability or equity or liability side is current liabilities. A liability is considered as current when it specifies any of the criteria such as it is held specifically for the purpose of being traded. It is due to be settled within 12 months after the reporting date. It is expected to be consumed or realized in the company's normal operating cycle. Balance sheet shall include current liabilities such as short-term borrowings, trade payables, short-term provisions, other current liabilities. These are the subheads under the head current liabilities. Contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities are those liabilities which may or may not arise because they are dependent on a happening in future. It is not recorded in books of accounts but is disclosed in notes to accounts to the balance sheet for the information of the user, or which are classified as follows, such as claims against the company not acknowledged as debt, guarantees given by the company, other money which the company is contingently liable, are the example of contingent liabilities. Detailed description of assets item of balance sheet is given in present figure, and it is clear from the figure that assets are divided into two heads. The first is non-current asset and second is current asset. Non-current assets, the head non-current asset is subclassified into fixed asset, non-current investments, deferred tax asset, long-term loan and advances, other non-current assets. An asset shall be classified as current when it specifies any of the following criteria. It is expected to be realized for sale or consumption in the company during normal operating cycle. The purpose of acquisition of current asset is primarily for trade or sale. These are expected to be realized within 12 months after the reporting date. It is cash or cash equivalent unless it is restricted from being exchanged. Current assets comprise of current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. Preparation of balance sheet is shown with the help of example, and information is provided, and with the help of this information we have to prepare a balance sheet of XY Limited as at 31st March 2015. Information is given about reserve and surplus, application money pending allotment, other long-term liabilities, trade payables, long-term borrowings, other current liabilities, short-term provisions, share capital, cash and cash equivalents, inventories, trade receivables, intangible fixed assets, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development, tangible fixed assets, current investments, long-term provisions, long-term loans and advances. These are the items which are given, and with the help of these items we have to prepare balance sheet of XY Limited as at 31st March 2015. Balance sheet of XY Limited as at 31st March 2015 is given below in the figure, and balance sheet divided into two parts. One is equity and liabilities and second is assets. Equity and liabilities are divided into four heads. First is shareholder fund, second is share application money pending allotment, third is non-current liabilities, and fourth is current liabilities. And assets are divided into two heads. First is non-current asset and second is current assets. The shareholder fund is further divided into share capital and share reserve and surplus. Further, non-current liabilities are divided into long-term borrowings, other long-term liabilities, long-term provisions, and current liabilities. The trade payables, other current liabilities, and short-term provisions are shown under the current liabilities. Fixed assets, tangible assets, intangible assets, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development, long-term loans and advances are shown under the current assets, whereas current investment, inventories, trade receivable, cash and cash equivalents are shown under the current asset. So students, let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. After the ascent of President of India, the Company Bill 2012 was accepted, and on 12 September 2013, the Companies Act 2013 was framed, replacing the old Companies Act 1956. The Act lays down the provisions for the incorporation of company, its registration, final accounts preparation, to its mergers and dissolutions. Every company need to follow the New Companies Act and to make efforts in order to completely blend with the changes. Section 128 to 138 under Chapter 9 of the Companies Act 2013 deals with the preparation and presentation of final accounts of a company. For the first time, financial statements have been defined under Section 2, subsection 40, as laid down an additional point of including cash flow statement in its final accounts. The new act has added up to new concepts such as consolidated financial statements, one-person company, corporate social responsibility clause, fast-track merger, dormant company, presentation of cash flow statement along with the final accounts, etc. Apart from our mentioned changes, the new act lays down the preparation of final accounts by following format prescribed under Schedule 3. The act also defines the provisions regarding the financial treatment of balance sheet items. Concluding that Companies Act 2013 is a new beginning towards a well-globalized accounting society and well-prepared and presented final accounts. Thank you.